Strange's identity is not known to most of the staff of our community, and I will not give away secrets. It's not about that. I'm an analyst myself, and I am engaged in data processing. I want to tell you a little about my personal impressions, share my opinion of a person who is somewhat outside of you, and therefore not quite interested in pleasing you. We have practically stopped thinking in terms of measures and categories of an individual or a separate family. We are not engaged in point-to-point rescues, as happened before. Right now, we're thinking in terms of humanity, trying to get to the bottom of the diabolical plans of these damn aliens. And their intentions are truly diabolical. Any adequate person on our planet will say that their intentions are pure Satanism. The phone was in silent mode. An unacceptable luxury for our employment. I know by instinct that I am being called now. It develops over time. He turned over the phone, which was lying with the display on the table. Strange. My heart started beating faster. The boss himself rarely called, although no, I'm confused. He never called at all, but at the same time, all the analysts had his number, which changed every 3 days. It was forbidden to call the number, but it was necessary to receive calls within a minute. No more. It was forbidden to call back. It was all about secrecy. I'm not a weak expert myself in terms of confusing tracks, but Strange's was on a completely different level. Either he was an intelligence professional himself, or he had such a person in his deck. I click on the display. Yes, I'm listening. Strange's voice.
The main gathering point time is 1 hour. Prepare according to the list 2.
To prepare according to list 2 meant that you had to appear in ordinary civilian clothes without attracting attention. There should be something neutral in your hands, like a magazine or a drink. I dressed in a simple plain t-shirt with a big Nike inscription, put on sweatpants, a baseball cap, and my sneakers. I had a couple of magazines on my desk. One of them was a Playboy. Yes, the readiness is good. Well, to hell with it. The place of General Assembly is not far from the park. There, I will buy myself a huge glass of Pepsi or coffee. He did so, arriving at the appointed time. I look around. There are a lot of people. Children riding on carousels, their mothers nearby. Some men drinking beer nearby. Students and strolling couples. Huge trees and paved paths. I felt somewhat lonely among people, as if I stood out. There was no sense of unity with the crowd. It always happens when you go with a specific goal and don't give in to the flow. This is the feeling of a beginner in intelligence, and now I have this feeling too. I waited 5 minutes, then 10 more. The phone was silent, but it was impossible to wait any longer. I had to leave. It could well happen that the forces opposing us have copied the turnout, and now I myself may be in danger. But there are also measures for this. It's not my first year in intelligence. I have experience. But the case that Strange had to deal with was new and unusual for me. I knew perfectly well that such special departments were created under the auspices of the government, but rather not for confrontation, but for cooperation. 2 options were spinning in my head. First, I'm involved in some kind of game of government forces. I'm being tested for loyalty. But in this case, I would have been eliminated long ago, since I stopped working for the government. Strange and his men faked my death and took me out of the surveillance field of the special services. The second option is that Strange is really engaged in the fight against aliens at his own risk, maintains a relatively large staff, and pays a salary. Yes, my salary was also agreed in advance. This means that he has funds, has the capacity and scientific strength to develop. There was a third option. I didn't want to think about it. Strange was a figurehead, and once again I would do all the dirty work for the highbrow in white offices. I didn't want to think about it. After all, I had some trumps in my arsenal. But more on that later. I left the park through the main entrance, walked past the stall where I bought coffee. The salesman looked at me, and our eyes met. I walked past, stopping thinking about it after a few moments. I walked along the sidewalk to the subway rotunda. This was the evacuation point I had planned. The path lay along the multi-story buildings, facing directly onto the pedestrian path. Suddenly, I hear a scream from the doorway. Everything is like in the best genre. Another scream.
Help me.
All the people are walking past me on the sidewalk, overtaking me, moving to a meeting. No one turned at the shout.
Help me.
The voice of an adult man. Funny. I ran to the doorway and entered it a few minutes later. A typical gateway between two apartment buildings is a tall green trash can, an eternal non-drying puddle right in the middle of a broken concrete pavement, brick walls, the smell of sewage, and again, a scream, but quieter.
Help me.
There was no one around, not a soul. I went behind the tank, and I realized that I was a fool. I went on a special mission to meet with Strange. The meeting did not take place for some reason. I just had to leave the square and return to my apartment, my place of deployment. But no, I heard help and ran. There was a sound reproducing device behind the trash can, which pronounced the proverbial help quieter and quieter. And there was no need. I'm already here. Shadows flickered in the doorway. 3 of them. I realized that out of the corner of my eye. Professional. You need to take the most advantageous position so that you can see all 3 of them and not get pinched, have a move to retreat. With my hand in my pocket, I feel the switchblade army knife, my constant companion. Not as huge as Rambo's, but enough to piss on his Adam's apple. I get up from the transmitting device, playfully kick it with my foot, and smile with such a smile. Allah. That's it. You all caught me. Hey guys. In front of me there are 3 guys dressed in security guards uniforms. Black uniforms, baseball caps, shirts without badges. One has an empty holster, probably injured, hides his hand behind his back. I'm smiling. I'm a dilettante. I clear my throat. Hey guys. One of them comes forward. All 3 of them have lifeless, empty eyes that do not express emotions. Such eyes are usually found in people who have been injected with a dose. It's like they're not looking at you, but through you. I thought at the time that they were 3 stoned. Their leader, who came forward, sniffed lispily.
We know who you are. Do you have a phone number? Contacts of your... Strange. Give me the phone.
And what else? Suddenly, one of them, the one holding his hand behind his back, threw it forward. Everything happened automatically. I pushed his hand aside and then hit him under the jaw with the handle of my knife. He worked the healthiest one with his elbow in the bridge of his nose and took out the 3rd one with his foot from a U-turn to the temple. All 3 of them are lying in different positions. I approach the armed one. It's necessary. A combat one. The Steshkin system pistol. There's some solid guys. Steshkin. If he didn't buy it somewhere on the black market from stray dealers, then this is clearly an army trail, and not just a trail, but the handwriting of special forces. That's not enough yet. I open his robe on his chest. There is no badge, neither do the others. Dark horses. I'm searching my pockets, and suddenly something unexpected happens to me. I beat them hard so that they fell. The one to whom I moved the handle 100% broke his jaw. But suddenly they begin to move, come to their senses. They open their eyes, still cloudy and devoid of reason. One of them repeats everything as well.
Give me the phone. Give me the phone.
I take the knife out of my pocket again, throw out the blade. This no longer looks like a backdoor showdown with 3 fools. This is a real ambush, and everything is more complicated than it seems. I was instructed about this.
The document. Summary analysis of the special agent's behavior. Agent B-23 was caught in a planned ambush. This behavior was predicted at the first interview. The ambush was inspired by Strange, but by by leaking information, the Greyroids were involved. We knew that they would not miss the chance to identify the analytical center through an inexperienced agent. 3 roids were destroyed with cold steel, after which the B-23 agent fled the scene. The corpses of the roids were hidden by him in a garbage can. After they were evacuated by us, they are currently in a research laboratory. In general, Agent B-23 demonstrates professional skills, experience, and the ability to analytically comprehend a specific situation. I suggest that in the future, we use Agent B-23 in the combat group to carry out actual capture and liquidation operations. Please make a decision within 24 hours. In case of a negative decision, I ask permission to use Combat Group Number 2 to eliminate Agent B-23, as he failed the inspection.
I disappeared from the alley, having previously thrown the corpses of the creatures I killed into the trash can. They weren't people, but I realized it late. But I was tormented by the thought, after all, this was a test, an unambiguous test, in which aliens were somehow involved. The agents of the strange pulled me into a square and brought these creatures to me. Yes, their desk is serious, even more serious than it seemed to me at first glance. One interview was not enough for them. They decided to arrange a check. Did I pass it or didn't I pass it? We need to change the location before the ass is boiled. I rubbed my wrist again. The skin burned, and the blood of one of the roids got on my hand. I took a gym bag and began to stuff the essentials into it. Everything was at hand. I was used to living on the run. Suddenly, I feel it again with my gut. I get a call. I take the phone. Strange. I click on the display. Yes, I'm listening. Silence, and suddenly...
Agent B-23, you have been hired. Wait for further instructions.
That's it.
Document. Medical certificate of examination of Agent B-23. The agent was not previously instructed on the methods of conducting hand-to-hand combat with Grey-type creatures, hereinafter referred to as roids. The blood of one of the individuals got on the hand and the wrist area. There was no special protection. Assistance was provided, but traces of molecular penetration were revealed. The agent is taken under secret surveillance for psychophysical changes. Royd's blood is able to penetrate through the skin pores into the bloodstream and then reach the brain tissues. We have not identified an active substance, but blood cells of Roids are able to transform brain cells of a human being, removing blockages to mental and telepathic effects. Prevention measures have been taken. The probability of infection is 45%.
Strange has remained an unknown person to me, although I have been working in a combat team for a long time, completing tasks around the world. The scar burn on my wrist from the creature that I stabbed with a knife in that alley remained a reminder for my whole life. Then they gave me specific recommendations and taught me how to deal with them, ensuring my safety. It's only now that I'm starting to realize that Strange is not a specific person, not a single leader. Our whole organization is a construction site, although I could be wrong. Now I'm a small fry with a machine gun. We're flying in a helicopter. The commander's voice brings me and about 24 other fighters out of a half-doze, inspired by the measured pulsating noise of the blades.
Prepare to land. Dulce base is below us. The task is to capture and neutralize the approaches. Prepare the opportunity for the main strike group to work.